Do you think that you could be with a guy without teeth?
Because let me tell you, they
Because
will
they'd
run
be
around with
toothless.
like no tooth and stuff like that. Okay, I no, yes, and no.
Really? Okay.
No, in like regular life, if you work at UPS.
Okay.
Yes, if you are a hockey player making millions
Millions
of
of
dollars.
dollars.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Players try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Sportsing. I'm Gloria Govan.
And I'm Erica Lenoke.
And this week we're going to be breaking down some things. We're doing our solo episode. If you
Yes.
haven't been able to tell, it's just the two of us.
It's just us.
Woohoo! I think this episode in particular, we're basically going to be breaking down some things like what's happening in sports, like everything you hear on the Waves, the ESPN, the other podcasts, and all that fun stuff. We're going to be, giving you our own little POV and some, interesting little tidbits and facts. So, essentially, E, this is our first solo episode.
Yeah,
I'm so
the
excited about that.
idea, I know. Listen, here's the thing. Like, we want to be able to lend our voice to our perspective on what's happening in the sports world, especially as women. There's starting to be a movement where there's more women being recognized and respected in the sports world, but there can always be more.
And ours in particular.
In ours in particular, but we're hoping to kind of make it fun, make it informative. Like a lot of you guys might know sports well, but there may be some things that you're like open to learning a little bit more about that we might be able to help with, or just give some fun commentary and banter that you might think is fun. I am the sports fanatic. Like, I think you probably are looking at like, well, who are these women and why should I listen to them, right? Like, I'm no different than Stephen A. Smith and, them who have not ever stepped foot on a college field or court or anything like that. But I've studied the game long enough for my entire life. My family and everybody is ingrained in sports. Brother played. I grew up in the gym. And because of that, like it's a passion of mine. And so you'll hear me get very passionate and loud and, kind of really lean into to what my convictions and my beliefs are around it. But I've probably forgot more than most of you know. So I speak with, I believe in what I have to offer and whatnot. I'm the person who plans my entire schedule around.
Yes, she
My
does.
favorite, like the Clippers are in the playoffs right now, and my whole schedule is planned around their playoff schedule.
Her entire life. I'll be like, no, oh girl, I got to get to the game. I'm like, that's fair.
It's real.
That's right, I forgot.
If I don't wear my gear on game day, I feel like if we lose, it's my
that's
fault.
right.
Like
Yes.
I'm superstitious a little bit.
That's
Yeah,
right.
like it's a thing. So I kind of bring the energy, whereas Gloria is a little bit more laid back. I mean, she's aggressive if her kids are involved,
right.
but like
I'm your super chill sports fan.
Yes.
Like sports is always in the background for me, always. Like I don't watch TV or like other shows and things, but as I always have some sort of sport on. Obviously, like my kids are athletes, my husband's an athlete, like I was an athlete, so I think for me, but I am not like your diehard, I kind of, first of all, let me say, cussing is my first language. Spanish is my second language. English is my third language. The fact that you think that I know anybody's names is not going to happen. I'm going to be like, the guy with the thing who did the thing and he wears the dreads. And she's going to know probably who I'm talking about, which is brilliant.
You basically look at it like this. If you're watching a game, I am the play-by-play announcer and
she knows the stats.
She's color commentary.
I am. I'm like looking at people's outfits. I'm like, want to know why they wore that. But I also am paying attention. Like, I'm not like your, ridiculous sports fan. But I also have a lot to say about, referees. I also have a lot to say about, just like after game, like what people say in post interviews, how they entered, their catwalk. Like I'm kind of like all the fun stuff outside the sport, but I understand sports.
Yeah.
I do. I appreciate sports a lot.
That's what we're here to do. I'm here to give you the play-by-play of our perspective, and she's here to color it in and make it make sense.
Yeah, we're a good color.
So what's going on in sports right now? What's the tea?
Oh my goodness. Well, our favorite sport.
Oh yes, let's do it. We always ask our guests to state their claims, so we gotta state ours.
Yeah.
So my favorite sport is basketball.
Yeah, mine too.
Yes. My favorite NBA team is the Los Angeles Clippers.
She's weird. It's
Whatever.
crazy.
It's funny because we just played them in the playoff.
Oh my gosh.
Who's your favorite team?
Yeah, the Warriors.
The Warriors of San Francisco. We played them in the play-in. Okay, so
gross.
She'll get into kind of the breakdown of how the playoffs work. Most of you probably know, but just a little recap. But there was a final game of the regular season where,
let me tell you something, I ignored her all day.
The Clippers had to play the Warriors to avoid being in the play-in because what? And the Clippers of Los Angeles went up to the Bay and
beat us down.
Got the dub to send them to the play-in, but I
thought about blocking her shortly after the game. I in my heart of hearts, I was like, "Don't do it, Gloria."
Because all my Warrior fan friends was talking cash shit, and I'm like,
"It's the Clippers."
Okay, y'all keep it's the Clipper, and if you want to, 2025 NBA champions. I'm saying it right now.
Steph Curry.
You know,
also, but
player.
Kawhi gave us that. What he showed up and gave us. Buckets.
Because
when I tell you, it was shot. He came down. He was like, "That was cute." He came down. I was like, "Where did he come from?"
Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, especially in the playoffs, is a top 5 player in the game right now today.
He's a really good player,
and he's about to remind everybody exactly of that.
Do you think he's going to stay healthy?
I mean, obviously,
God willing, right?
Yeah. Obviously,
but
my hope is. But yeah, I think so. I think they did listen, anything can happen, but I think that I was saying to some of my other Clipper fan friends to start the season. He early on he did it. Y'all know the thing about Kawhi Leonard is that he's a quiet superstar, and so he doesn't really talk a lot. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He kind of like the running joke is that like we don't even know if his family actually knows what he does for a living. It feels like he just goes home and he's like,
"Woo,
yeah, work was tough today, but we're good. Yeah, what y'all trying to do? You know, like whatever."
His kids
right?
probably think he's like the postman.
Exactly, like that's the running joke with him, and so. But he did it. He was, talking with the beat reporters after a practice or early game or something like that. And I could tell he felt very good about the game plan that the team and the
Ty Lue gave him.
No, that the team and the health the doctors and all this stuff. Yeah. Coming into the season, and it was something very different in the way he talked about it this year than I ever. It's not so much that they're new. I just think that. I actually personally think he also went and like found out. I was like, send him to where Kobe went in Germany and call it a day.
Yeah. Well, the guy's out here now. Yeah. So he probably.
So I think he connected with the right people, but as a group, they figured out how to make it work, which is why he's now able to like play.
Because a lot of people are talking shit about his load managing.
Yeah, like they
can't play back to back.
He should retire and blah blah blah. But when you have a chronic knee issue, it's not just like a normal whatever. Like he has to literally be cautious of how much wear and tear he puts on it.
Look,
otherwise it inflames.
These athletes aren't going to do today is like risk their entire bodies and lives for the sport.
Yeah,
not how they used to back in the day.
No, and I mean they're jumping faster, running. I mean they're running faster, jumping higher. They're different athletes than they were back in the day. Like you watched the players that were playing in the NBA back in the day, and it looked like they were the middlemen. Like you were like, well, how in the fuck did he just come out and give you buckets?
Either that or they were the
Michael Jordan.
Jordan Transformers or the Charles Barkley, the Larry Birds, who also again definitely you could have thought he worked at the post office.
But they weren't playing at the speed that these guys are playing at with the weight that they are. It's just different. So
because a lot of older players talk shit about the younger kids. Of course. We've talked a little bit about that too.
They don't want to let it go. And it has
let it go.
Been in part of some of the problems surrounding the NBA. There's a lot of conversation about the ratings, media, and all that type of stuff. And I do think that some of the problem has been the way the game is being presented, because the game itself is really beautiful. And the way it's being played is really, really fun and exciting. You know what I mean?
But they are getting so irritated with media and commentators, just really like shitting on the sport. And I think a lot of times because you have the current commentators, they're older players. And so they just have such a,
back in my day.
Yeah, they're so ego, like they're just,
egos.
Yeah, egos are like, they're just pissed. And they talk about, oh, well, we used to have to fly commercial. Oh, well, we used to have to sleep in, Hilton, beds and like rollouts and all this. And it's like, guys, we get it.
Blame your parents. They should have had you later. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it ain't their fault.
No one told you to be born then.
You know what I mean? It's not their fault. But if you look at the NFL, if you look at other sports, their athletes that come back to speak about the game just have a love for the game and then appreciation for the younger players.
In terms of the commentating and the story. Yeah. That's
so
fair.
Because of that, they're inviting, we're the first line of defense for the audience, which is like part of the reason of doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be able to continue to enjoy the sports, you're looking to see what the people are saying about it.
Right.
And if the people who are talking about it are talking about it in a negative light, then why would I even invest my time in it if the people who are supposed to know what they're talking about are
shit
talking,
on it all the time.
like that's pointless.
No, that's fair.
So I think it's a problem
That's interesting
for them.
you said that. I don't know that I've ever necessarily, I mean, obviously I've noticed, but I wonder if if in reality, it's really probably about the money. They're more just mad at these bags these guys are getting.
I think it's a combination. I think there's definitely some envy of the fact that these dudes are making now getting closer to baseball money, which is a whole different ballgame than their era.
Yeah.
And I also think it's a legacy issue. Like if you are, a Shaq or one of these like star players who was known as, the greatest center ever, and now we have a Joker coming in who by and large everybody's like he's the best we've ever seen.
Yeah.
That is a threat to your legacy.
Sure.
And I think that they have an issue with watching it, especially because these players play the game differently than they did.
Yeah, and it's hard to compare. I mean, Shaq, if you want, like, in terms of Shaq, I mean, he was hating on, Dwight Howard. Like, he's
always been a legacy thing. I think he's always...
Charles Barkley can't stand it. Like, he's like, I hate it here.
Yeah, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're still the guy. Like, we will always forever be like, Shaq is one of the greatest players to ever play it, the most dominant to ever play it.
I do think, though, that today, and in particular, talking to, like, a Derek or someone, like, he does feel like they completely, right?
Yeah.
Like, feel like these newer guys aren't necessarily paying them the respect that they have.
I can see that.
Like, for example, we were just Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
He just got into it with some young cat, right? And Dame was like, "Timeout." Like, I'm like,
don't worry,
I know I'm
about to
coming
learn.
back. Yeah. Like, get these little blood clots out of me. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's an interesting fact that that there is a lot more kind of like that shit talking and that like, but I think beyond a competitive nature, I think a lot of the older guys are like, hold on now, you're not just going to disrespect me though. Like, I helped build this. I helped da-da-da. And I just think I don't know that you have that on football side or baseball side.
Well, because respect is given and earned.
But I think fair.
From how you are, I think, listen,
but I think
there's certain players
young cat's been doing it forever.
But when Kobe was still alive, for example, there's not a young player who did not reverence and have respect for him. But you know why? Because Kobe had a love and a passion for these young players. Kobe didn't present as I don't know what their personal conversation was. Kobe he could have been talking all kind of shit about everybody.
I don't know that anybody could have talked to Kobe though.
But you know what I'm saying? Like ultimately when Kobe was public facing, he was showing love to, training with, like, you know what I'm saying, engaging with them. And I think that level of camaraderie, like whether he actually had relationships with a lot of players or not, but I think that's why it's easier for them to have this level of like, respect. Like even Dwight Howard, I believe that, I don't know if he was saying it jokingly or not, but I think that Shaq is going to be one of the people inducting him into the Hall of Fame after all of this, which is amazing. Yeah,
you're so cute.
But the reason why it matters to Dwight is because he's always had respect for Shaq.
I know.
But after a while, you get to a point where it's like, if this person is constantly coming at me and all I'm out here trying to do, then fuck you too. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think it's a lot of that. Like, I think it's not so much that I haven't seen a lot of the younger players, newer stars talk trash just out of left field.
Right, super out of nowhere. Yeah. And when they do it on the court, I do think it's like
as
that
they should.
Yeah,
I want
Tyler.
I want Halliburton to talk cash shit to Damian Lillard because he's supposed to. Because we're battling right now. I don't care about you, Anthony Edwards. Like, I don't care about your accolades. I don't care who you are. He idolizes Kevin Durant, like, loves him.
Right,
like,
but when they go toe to toe,
he sent him home last year, and he was like, "I gotta send you home, OG. Like, it is what it is."
Playa.
I love that.
Like,
that's what they're supposed to do. So you can't be mad at that. You know?
No, I know. It's just interesting that the like older cats, and by old, I mean we're literally talking about some 30-something-year-olds.
Yeah, like our age group.
Yeah, like Steph Curry, because he just turned 37, and they were like, "Oh my God, he's about to be put out to pasture," and I was like,
I know. Old in sports is
old in
wild.
sports is crazy. It's really disrespectful. But anyway.
So we have the playoffs that are happening.
Yeah, we have the playoffs, which we've been, kind of chatting about. Whatever, the Warriors lost to the Clippers, and so they had to do a play-in, but then they beat Memphis, and then they, so here we are.
So now we're in the first round. It's really exciting. So we're gonna do we're gonna do a pick.
Oh, okay.
But let's get your predictions. All right. So
Okay. I'm a West Coast girl because obviously.
Yeah, but we'll
also,
talk a little East.
Yeah, well, West is just so much more competitive. Sorry, East Coast. But
okay, so East, we have the Boston Celtics are playing the Orlando Magic. Boston is the 1 seed. Orlando's the 8 seed.
Yeah, Boston.
Who do you? Okay, and how many games?
Boston in 4. Like I think
they're
going to
sweep
them.
them.
Yeah, I mean Orlando is like what? Yeah, like
okay.
I think you think they'll get 1.
I think gentlemen's sweep.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm gonna go gentlemen's sweep, Boston in 5.
Okay.
Only because I really like Paolo and Franz, and I think that those are the 2 young stars for Orlando. And I think you go home, you kind of get a little that
like
boost
a little
at
second
home.
wind. Okay.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I think that they can at least get a game out of
at
it.
Least one.
Boston's really good, but Boston happens to be feast or famine sometimes. And so because they're a jump shooting team, if you can catch them on an off night, and I don't know how many off nights they're going to have because they're not good,
not now.
But if you can kind of catch them on an off night, you
might get them.
Yeah, they're physical, they're big.
I was watching the game the other day, and so Tatum, he like rolled his ankle or something. He was kind of rolling around, but look, the coach was like,
get your
so the trainer was coming out to go, help him, and the coach was like, he stopped him and was like, "Get your ass up!" Like a parent, he sunned the shit out of Jason.
It was very funny because he was rolling around very dramatically.
He's so dramatic. There's some of these cats are really dramatic, which also lends to probably why older guys are like, "Boy, if you don't get your ass up, right?"
Because they end up calling it a flagrant, which was so.
It's just ridiculous.
Soft.
Sometimes you're like, "Stop it!" But anyway, I thought it was hilarious because that's such funny. He was like he parent sunned the shit out of him.
Amazing because he was like, anyway.
He's off the chain.
Yeah, their coach is really, really wild.
But he's so young. He's super talented.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then we have the Cavs, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Miami Heat. Cleveland is led by Donovan Mitchell, who's dating Coco Jones. Very cute. They're such a cute couple.
Adorable.
I know. I love that. Yeah, listen,
the
RB girlies are getting snatched up. Okay,
I'm not mad. Go ahead, girl.
Donovan Mitchell is a playoff riser. He tends to show up and show out in the playoffs. And then Miami Heat are led by Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo.
I adore him. I like Joaquin.
I messed his name up something so cold, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Bam at the end
I'm
of
not
the day.
even because I can't correct her.
And he is dating from the Las Vegas Aces. Who you just ran into recently.
Asia Wilson.
Yes. And their relationship was like secret.
Really?
It was like the worst kept secret possible because they're both like 7 feet and like showing up in random places. Until they basically got busted out because he got the key to like the city of like where he's from or something like that happened. And she was there and the mayor was like, and
come on up here, girl.
Exactly. Everybody was like,
get your boo.
We caught you. So anyway, so Cleveland and Miami, who you got?
Okay, this one's tough for me because I mean Cleveland's gonna take it, but I will have to go with I'm gonna have to go with 5.
You only think Miami will only get 1?
I think so. I think they'll kind of show up a little bit at home. I like Joaquin. We talked about this. He's a UCLA guy, which I adore. Right?
Yeah, I'm a USC girl.
Oh, this is the USC thing. Like, oh Lord, have mercy. This,
Anyways,
and so
moving right along.
Cleveland,
and how many games?
5.
You said 5. Okay,
what about you?
Yeah.
Right? I appreciate you, Miami. Also, I mean, I thought it would be adorable if Miami won because Jimmy Butler left, which we'll talk a little bit about. I like that kind of I like that.
And they still have some success without you situation.
They're kind of like, we will rise without you, Butler.
Unfortunately for them, they ran into Cleveland. So there's that.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5. I mean, Spoelstra, who is the head coach of Miami, makes me want to give them 2 games just because he's that good.
He is really
good. And they can probably make some sort of adjustments, but ultimately, I don't think they have enough for Cleveland.
I don't think so. I feel bad for him. He works his ass off as
he's
coach.
He's a really phenomenal coach.
Yeah,
so I'd say 5 too.
Yeah, but he's old school.
Maybe 6, but 5 ultimately.
Yeah, I love 5.
Okay, so then this is probably this to me is probably the most exciting series of the East. Yeah, New York and Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good game. Brunson shows up. I love their little team camaraderie. I think they're adorable. But then, you have Detroit's no punk either.
Yeah.
Who you got? I'm going to have to, I want New York to win.
And how many games?
Fuck. 6?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So New York is my East Coast team. Like if I have to root for a team on the East, it's the Knicks. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I just love to your point, I love their camaraderie. I love the team.
Their
I
culture.
love it's just fun. I've got to go to a New York playoff game.
And playing it's fun, right?
Oh my God.
Madison Square Garden's fire.
A blast. Like I had the time of my life or whatever. I have a lot of Knicks fan friends. Like, all the things. So I love New York. I love Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's just the sweetest thing.
Right. Yeah. Is he still with Jordan?
Yes, she was there at the game with her.
She
had her jeans on with his number on it, her shoes. I said, "Come on, girl! I know that's why you better rep your men." Yeah, no, they are. It was just so cute to me.
They are such a thing.
A lot of people think he's very sassy and all this stuff, and he pulls up with his bad bitch.
Not
and
sassy. I'm dying.
I'm just saying, he got a fine woman who all of them would covet if they could. Yeah. And Carl just kind of minds his business and does his thing. Yeah. But obviously, we know he's been through a lot. He lost his mom.
Yes.
And he's been through a lot. So I love New York, but Detroit is kind of like my new baby team because I really love Cade Cunningham, who's the star of Detroit Pistons. I think he's one of my stars to watch on the East. I think that as the years go by, he's going to be a name to be reckoned with. Yeah, reckoned with. He was a little gun shy to start the series, but I do think these teams are relatively closer.
I do in like talent.
Yeah,
and
exactly. But
the
I think
playoffs
New York
though
should
they
take
show up like playoff. Kind of to how you've spoken to Donovan Mitchell. You either show up or you don't.
You don't. It's the time where names are made or
100%.
broken to an extent. So I think that New York ultimately takes it. I agree.
Okay.
I'm leaning 6-2. I would not be surprised if it went 7 though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good one. We're gonna keep an eye on that.
I think so.
That's not like a sweep or a blowout.
No. I think so. I think each game is a battle.
Yeah.
And then lastly, on the East is Indy and Milwaukee. So the Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I just don't think that the Bucks have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. I don't know that Giannis is enough. I feel bad for them because you can tell every time that they odd like everyone be holding the ball looking for Giannis, and now Giannis is taking it down. Like he's, you know what I mean? He's like it's just so much Giannis that they're not going to be able to get past that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and he doesn't have enough help. And then obviously like Dame is out, so that is just
even with Dame coming back, you still don't think they'll have enough.
I don't think so. It's just too much. It's just too much Giannis.
Okay.
I just don't, I don't think that they're going to have enough. And I think there's going to be some major changes in that. They're going to I don't know if they're going to blow it up, but
I think Giannis is out of there.
I think so too. I think he's given it what they have, what he could. He's obviously, kind of forced some changes in the coaching perspective. I think they tried by bringing Dame, almost on some like, oh, well, we're trying to give you some help.
Never got rid of Drew Holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they kind of fucked up there.
Because Dame don't play defense.
And there's very few people in the NBA that play defense, but Dame is certainly not one.
There is, but there isn't. I think we have to adjust to what the game is starting to become. A lot of these players are actually starting. Like the reason why Boston is because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are two-way players. You know what I mean? Like Cade does his thing on they're starting these younger boys and like all of them are starting to become better two-way players. So because of that, you can't have your star player only be a scorer and not being able to we had talked a little bit about Scottie Pippen Jr. on that for that reason on Memphis. I mean, we'll hop over there, but anyway, but I don't think so. How many games?
I don't know. I don't think it's a sweeping situation, but I'd probably go 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think and then their coach is Doc Rivers, which.
Yeah, I love Doc as a person, but I think ultimately he's been put in positions to like almost be like kind of handed the team. He's not, and so he hasn't had to like really actually like coach. And I think that him having to coach this year is really poking holes in his like his ability to actually.
Well, that's been the issue for a while. He did not coach well when he was the coach of the Clippers. So I think that
the Clippers.
Let's not do that. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, we're still relevant. And he's just not that good of a coach. Let's put it that way. So to your point, the whole give the ball to Giannis and see what happens.
That's like his whole game plan.
And on the flip side, Tyler Halliburton, this is a Halliburton Stan account. He is one of my other young stars to watch on the East. I think he is going to continue to grow and become a nice little star on that side of things. And they're just a well-oiled machine. They're very well coached. They play for each other. They kind of play on the string. They speed you up.
I feel like teams that actually like really fuck with each other.
It makes a difference.
It shows up on.
It makes a difference for sure.
And they're one of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think 5, maybe 6 if I wanted, if
you want to make it entertaining.
If I want to make it entertaining, if Giannis has an otherworldly game, if
Yeah.
Dame does come back and gives them buckets to kind of balance that out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if he's coming back.
Yeah, they're saying supposedly by game 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then then maybe they catch a second win.
You know what I'm saying?
There.
Like,
it's either one or two ways. They're going to catch a second win and he's there, or it's going to throw them off even more so,
Right.
and then it's just like, well, it's too late now.
Well, they'll start the game off hot, right? Like behind him, and then as Indiana settles into like,
they'll be like, oh, that was cute.
Yeah,
Dame is back. Let's adjust.
Yeah, so I give it 5, maybe 6 if one of the two of them has an otherworldly performance. Shifting to the West, so we have Oklahoma City is playing the Memphis Grizzlies.
What's that face?
Because they whooped their ass by
it was really bad. 51
points.
Yeah, 54 points. And that shit was...
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my... It got so... Girl, I think we went on a walk. We were just like,
anyway,
I'm not watching this.
Very uncomfortable and bored. I found other things to do for sure. And I feel bad because I like Ja, and
Yo...
What do you think about him? Okay, so y'all know Ja Morant has some issues, and he likes to play with guns and things. And Adam was like, "Hey, bro, kind of don't
do that."
So he's like, "Okay," so he got suspended for all these games, and then he's come back and he's been injury prone. So it's been a tough go for my man's Ja, because like Ja was on the track of like becoming like one of the faces of the league, everyone's pushing for him, all the things, and then he just blew it because sometimes I think dudes still want to be down, and you got to not be down.
But this is the thing, I think. Unfortunately, I have to blame it on Memphis. Because, Memphis is a pretty tough place to be.
Which is why I think really people also have to consider where Adam is coming from. Because I know I follow some of the, Memphis, writers and people who, kind of are invested in it. And they're very, very upset with how they feel like he's being targeted.
Yeah, I was going to say he's being
And I think that multiple things can be true at the same time. I think in general, the little gun finger point celebration shouldn't be a big deal, period.
Right.
However, I do think context matters. And when you've already been reprimanded for a thing, and keep in mind, before he got suspended last time, Adam gave him a warning and he was like, don't care, and blew past the warning.
That's right.
So you no longer get the benefit of the doubt. You no longer get to bypass the warnings. Adam gave him a warning again this time. Like, hey, bro, kind of don't do the thing. So now to be a butthole about it, he's come up with this grenade, which actually is very... What was he? I thought he was doing this one.
That's what
he's saying. He's saying it looks like he's throwing a grenade in the crowd and he's covering his ears. He's saying that he's not listening to the chatter.
Got it.
Basically, that's his version of it.
But
I'm not mad at it. It's actually one of his better celebrations. But if you're going to play with fire, then you can't be mad when you get burned.
I was gonna say, first of all, if the league is still a very prestigious league, right? It's one of the well-known leagues globally in the world, very powerful league. And so when your boss essentially goes, hey, bro, you know what I mean? Just chill out a little bit. And for you to be like,
literally,
anyway, I'm Ja Morant, sir, Adam's names are at the bottom of your check. You might want to take it down a notch. And so I think for me too, I think Josh is a little extra. There are times where it was like, you've got a warning. And then I think essentially being instead of toning it down every time,
he was tripled down on it. Yeah.
He tripled down. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's...
Then you add in the fact that you live in Memphis,
and then your dad is going off on the sidelines, right? And then on top of that, outside of sports, you still like to show off guns.
Yeah, everybody's got to relax.
Let's just pick a struggle.
Yeah, you got to relax. You can't be a representative for this organization, particularly in a city that struggles with gun violence, and do a thing. Now, I also agree with the people who's like they're still a little hypocritical because you have abusers and all kind of people who are in the league and they're getting to play and all that type of stuff. So in terms of protecting their image, the NBA has a lot of work to do all the way around because you can't be heavy on Ja for doing something as seemingly innocent as a celebration in a 3-point, but guys who have convictions or
felonies and all sorts of things,
behavior are getting shine. So I do get that point of it. I think that's where multiple things could be true at one time. People like to conflate a lot, well, such and such gets to do it, so why can't such and such? How about nobody do it, right? You know what I mean? That does not make that person doing it any better. They should also get in trouble, and you're going to get in trouble. Right. Everybody should get in trouble. What are we doing here? So
just sun them.
With that being said,
all of you are in timeout.
This looks like a sweep to me.
Yeah, I know. Especially if they, I know Ja went back and was like, "We're never going to play that bad again."
And
but
true, they might not.
You guys won't lose by 50. but you still aren't going to win.
I always lean in the side of gentleman's sweep just because you want to kind of believe that they were. There's something about going home and having a little bit of the energy. And again, like, OKC is a juggernaut. Like, they are otherworldly. However,
young,
if you catch them right, you might can do a little thing. They're young and athletic.
Who's the taller kid that just came back?
Chet.
Yes, Chet.
Okay.
I love the Chet. No, because we went and saw them, and he was like, I mean, he's just now showing up. I know he was hurt, and he reminds me of Elijah, my nephew Elijah, and so, which is really why I'm like a big fan. But yeah, no, he showed up a little bit. Yeah, but I like OKC. They're young, and their team camaraderie.
Yeah, no, they're playing.
They're
I think
homies, which I love.
Their real test comes next round for sure.
Yeah,
but they're vibing. So I think probably sweep. Yeah, I think whatever, maybe 5 Memphis. I'm trying to get
let it go to sleep.
Okay. And then we have the Houston Rockets who are playing the Golden State Warriors,
and they're actually from the Bay Area. She said San Francisco earlier, and that was really offensive.
The Warriors?
Yes, they're from the Bay.
Do they not play in the San Francisco?
It's weird.
They're called
They
the
know.
San
They know
Francisco.
they're really from Oakland, so.
Okay, well, they are called the San Francisco.
They're the Bay Area.
Anywho, so.
Yes. This one's going to be tough.
Okay.
This is going to be actually really tough. I mean, Steph shows up and showed out. I think originally I was very offended by the Jimmy Butler trade. I was just like, come on, guys. But I understood why we needed him.
What was your issue with it?
I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like I didn't like the way, again, this is going back to the type of fan like I am. Yeah. I didn't like the way that Jimmy Butler handled that and the way in which he got traded and how he acted. I'm not a fan of those type of things. Sure. So then I'm like, don't bring that shit to our team.
1,000%.
Like, I don't. So, but in terms of basketball, I mean, obviously, we are doing much better with him. And I like Draymond as I don't know Draymond as a person, but I'm not a fan of his basketball style either, just because of, again, the way that he like treats, it's just when we talk about the Warriors, there's going to be a whole episode I'll talk about.
Yeah, because he is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so extra, and I don't know, I just be like, bro, just come on, man.
Yeah. Is
like the opposite of LeBron. LeBron's really dramatic. Draymond's just extra.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, all right,
that's fair.
All right, sir. But I do think this one's tough. I mean, Houston obviously is a very talented team.
Sure.
But I think that they're still kind of green in the sense of like being in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Obviously the Warriors are seasoned. So we'll see, but I think this one's going to be like kind of go down to 7.
And who's winning?
Oh, the Warriors. That's weird.
Okay, obviously. Fair enough. I agree. So the Houston Rockets, their young stars, Jalen Green, who is.
But he's not showing up. He's been a single-digit guy for the last like 7 games, which is crazy.
Yes, he's young, and I think the hard part about having a team where your star is
that young,
that inexperienced, it usually comes back to bite you, especially when you're playing such a veteran team on the other side as the Warriors. I think Houston is going to be a problem for a time to come.
Yeah, in a couple of seasons.
Especially if when they do this KD trade, that's most likely going to happen.
You think so? They're going to
go to because their picks and all this stuff is so intertwined anyway that I think it just ends up kind of making sense.
That'll be interesting. They could
I
use
think that makes them
vet.
Very deadly scary if they get Kevin Durant. Like, forget about it. So I think that the inexperience and youth I think they make it an interesting series. I think definitely at minimum 6 games for sure. Mm-hmm. But I do think the inexperience will ultimately, even the first game, like I think they made the comeback, but I think a lot of that was it ended up rooted in inexperience.
How did the Warriors give up a 25-point lead?
The Warriors have been blowing leads. Like that's kind of been their thing.
But also they got soft passes. I want to know how many turnovers they had, and that shit was wild.
For years, even through their dynasty run, but for years the Warriors' issues have been their turnovers. Like that is the only thing that has like kind of humanized them to an extent, is because they get very careless with the ball. Like it's been an issue for them.
Soft passes, terrible. You know what I mean? Inbound play. Like what is going on?
And so once Houston gets their footing and figures out how to play physical with them in the way that like makes sense or whatever, and if Jalen can show up for like a game or two, then I think it really gets interesting. So I agree. I think it's no less than 6, but I think ultimately the Warriors take it. And then we have the Los Angeles Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I was surprised by the first game.
I was not.
You weren't?
No. My Laker fan friends were all rooting for us to beat you guys because they were dodging y'all.
Oh, yeah. I understand.
Reality was. And I get why. for obvious reasons.
I understand.
However, the idea that Minnesota was somehow going to be the easier matchup for them was always a flawed
Yeah, that was an
perspective to
interesting
me.
one.
Because I'm like, Anthony Evers is one of the best players in the game and ain't scared of nobody.
Yeah.
They've now been battle tested. They've been through rounds of the playoffs
Yeah.
now, so they're not as inexperienced as like a Houston. They got athletic bigs that can guard.
Right.
The Laker fans' perspectives was that they thought their small ball lineup was going to force Minnesota's hand, so get Rudy off the court, all that type of stuff. But you have to know your personnel, and I think they underestimated Minnesota's and overestimate theirs. If you have a good perimeter defense, then the center is fine. The only reason why centers get played off of the court is when their perimeter defense isn't good, because then they're leaving them out there on the island. Then they're not able to recover fast enough, all that stuff. But their boys are big. Jaden McDaniels can hold his own. Like, nobody's going to stop LeBron. Nobody's going to stop Luka. But they can hold their own against them. Ant takes the challenge. Like, he's going to guard Luka, but guess what? Luka got to guard him on the other end, and we know Luka can't do that.
Yeah, he's not
like,
playing defense.
people want to talk about Luka's record, Luka's stats.
Yeah, scoring record. Yeah.
And his scoring against the Clippers, but they never talk about his record against us. We've sent him home in the playoffs twice. They finally got us last year because Paul George bitched up. But like, ultimately, I mean, that was what it really boiled down to. You know what I mean? And we have a winning record against us. The reason why he goes ham on us is because you let him go ham.
Yeah.
He's going to score you about 25 points in the first half. And then in the second half, where Nico was not wrong, is that his endurance. He does not play defense, and he does not have the endurance to like sustain that for 48.
25 pounds.
Yeah, but
so,
even then, it's still I know the skinniest people who are out of shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Still fluffy.
Yeah.
I call it fluffy. He's still fluffy.
I think people took it as, oh, because he's fat. Like, no, it's not even about that. It's just the fact that after, like, and that's not, listen, Luka's one of the best in the game.
Yeah, but there is a reality.
Win you games.
If you can run, look, the game is 40 minutes, right? At 40 minutes long. But you have to, 48 minutes long. You have to be able to run in terms of like, your endurance and your ability to like save your legs, know when to explode, know when to, get some rest. Like, that's all huge and big. So regardless of size.
Everybody, it doesn't matter. And everybody can score, particularly in the West.
Yeah.
Can you defend? Because that's what it's going to come down to. And Luka and Austin Reeves being two of your key players who can't defend.
Who don't play defense.
Is going to be an issue against a team who has players who can get a bucket.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was surprised in which I feel like the Lakers just looked really bad. And so I was kind of surprised at that just because obviously, they've had enough rest and all the things. But I still think it's going to be interesting. LeBron is not going to go down without a fight. So
it's 6-7 game series.
Yeah, I was going
easily.
to say 6-7 for sure. But I don't know who I have.
I'm actually picking Minnesota.
You are?
I'm going to go on record.
And she's a huge LeBron fan.
I'm a huge LeBron. Well, let's be clear. I was a LeBron stan until he became a Laker because of my allegiance with the Clippers. And
then you severed your ties with LeBron?
I'm like happy for him in life, but like I don't want him to win as a Laker.
That's
obviously.
Fair. That's fair. I also have beef with the Lakers, so I'm gonna go with Minnie in this one too.
Yeah. I think from a pure basketball standpoint, I actually just think that Minnesota has the better team. I think it's going to come down to X factors. And if I'm choosing between who's the better X factor between Austin Reeves and Dante DiVincenzo, I'm going Dante.
I'm just that person. Like, I'm kind of petty that way. I hope the Lakers lose.
So there's that. And then last but not least, we have the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. Who you got?
To preserve our friendship. I'm just kidding. I'm actually going with the Nuggets. And so I do think that it's an interesting one. Obviously, Joker is who he is, but he has surprisingly enough become very manipulative on the court.
Because he flops.
So much.
I didn't realize he flopped as much
until now. I didn't think I realized how much he flopped. And it's starting to get annoying.
It's bad.
Also, like how he manipulates when he does screens or when someone's... What happened? Joker, what happened?
I mean, I guess it's probably always been a part of his game, I guess. He just does other things so spectacularly that I think you just kind of overlook it a little bit. But
that last game was really, really bad.
I think he leans into it even more because Ivica Zubac is just that good.
Yeah,
and
no,
he's
Zubac
the one player that he can't have his way with he normally can. So he got to stick.
That's a really
he got to
good
try
matchup.
some other things.
That's a really good matchup. For real.
This is where bias is about to come in. I am the president of the Zoo fan club. I have been for years since we got him.
First of all, I've known her my entire life, and I never knew that.
Thanks, Magic.
Awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm the president of the Zoo fan club. Thanks, Magic Johnson, for giving them to us for a bag of Fritos.
Not a bag.
Since the time he's
fair.
come, I have
A hot
championed
dog.
behind him because even Clipper fans are like, oh, he's not, doing well enough. He's not living up, whatever with that. And every year he's gotten better and better. And
Yeah.
now he is nominated for Most Improved Player. He made it to the 3 finalists.
Is that Ty Lue? I keep trying to give my flowers to Ty Lue.
I mean, I think Ty has his
Okay.
part in it, of course, but I think he has just done the work. Like
Yeah.
he is just in the offseason, he's developed his
doing the work.
game. He's plugged and played different. His shot has gotten, he can get his own bucket now. His passing out of doubles has gotten better. Like
Yeah.
we trust
He's
him
a
now in
force.
games. Additionally, kind of speaking about the perimeter defense stuff, this year we have better perimeter defenders.
Right.
So it allows him to stay on the court longer because he's not
playing position.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
playing
because of
position is
that,
nice.
the confidence in him, like the team doing a whole campaign for him to be Defensive Player of the Year, we knew he probably wasn't going to get it,
Yeah, but
but
still.
it put the
Yeah.
confidence in him because the team, the organization is rallying around you. I'm
Yeah.
running through the brick wall for y'all,
Yeah.
and he especially gets up for the Joker matchup.
I was just about to say he
Yeah.
does. Yeah, he shows up. He showed
'Cause
out.
he's
I was.
slow.
I was.
He
I
needs
was
somebody who's slow and big like him.
and he's big, and he's like he's obviously he doesn't look as big as Joker, but he holds his
he's a
own,
big boy.
which
Yeah.
I appreciate. Yeah,
All right,
so
so you got the Nuggets and how many?
I do. But I think it's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna give y'all 7 for real. Yeah.
With all that being said, I'm going to go Clippers in 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. I
We
like it.
will be in the building on Thursday.
Yes,
The dome will
sir.
be rocking. I cannot wait.
I also think the first round is always the longest round. Why does it take so long? I'd be like, my God, guys.
It's I feel like it's one or the other.
Hustle
It's
this up. That'd
either
be great.
it's either a sweep or like
or
7.
Yeah, and it goes all the way through. Yeah, but it's basketball, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So
Woo.
I think it'll be good. So there we go.
Yeah.
What happening at the same time as NBA is NHL.
Okay.
So their playoffs are happening. Now, what we ain't gonna do is ever get on this here show
And act like
and
we
front
know
to
hockey.
y'all like we know anything more than what we know. And what we don't know that well is hockey. However, we are, as a group and collective, going to tap into some hockey.
Right, and learn it with you.
Listen, we are committed to getting into the hockey bag,
Right.
okay? Because hockey is actually very fun. And I've been to, if you go to
I was
hockey
gonna
games,
say.
let me tell you, it's cold than a motherfucker, but it's fun.
But it's so much fun.
Ugh.
Hockey games are, and they're called games, right? Or matches.
They're called games.
Okay. I wasn't
I
sure. I
think.
was like, right? Question mark?
I did think that. Actually.
First of all, it is a blast.
So fun. It's cold, but it's fun.
Very cold, but it is like the fans that get in it. Don't let them score. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they lose their
what?
minds.
Yes.
And the playoffs is like,
It's really
I do
fun.
get into it around playoff time.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the bandwagon, like, go Kings go. Like, all of a sudden I'm a hardcore black, silver, like, let's go Kings. Like, I'm
Yes.
in it during the playoffs. Like, because key to sports fandom is now
Is we,
you
yeah,
are part of the
I am,
team. Yes,
and
like,
we
as if
are.
I'm playing. So we were Dynasty, Kopitar, and all of them for a little while. Such a fun time. My favorite thing, so the playoffs are happening with them, same setup as NBA, 8 teams on each side, 2 conferences, best of 7, I think most of the rounds.
The whole thing.
Yeah, so it's a fun time. My favorite thing about hockey though is that they fight.
First of all, I like that they go on timeouts. Like they get sunned. Like they, what I mean? They
Oh
go,
yeah. Put them in the penalty box.
penalty for you. And then they're just like sitting there, like little.
It's like literally like putting
Like,
your kid in
literally,
timeout. Like
mm.
go
Right.
sit down over there and think
Yeah,
about what you did.
correct.
And
2
then,
minutes.
Yeah, when your 2
2
minutes is
minutes,
up, you
bro.
can come back and play because there's like major penalties, minor penalties.
Yes.
So
I
it
think that's
varies with the
adorable.
time that they're relegated to the penalty box. But I think it's hilarious because like there's like rules to it. They will literally stop in the middle of the game and just like
No, they
catch the fade. Like
But also,
gloves
I
coming
love
off.
that because it takes a minute for the fight to ramp up, and all the rest of the team just like. So, are we gonna? Nope, we need a few more. Oh no, now they're going. Now they're in it. They're like, here we go.
Refs included sitting
Stop,
around
they
to
just
watch
pause.
the fight is so
Girl,
funny
they'd be
to
asking
me.
for popcorn. Hey, if you can give me a drink now, that'd be great. Like, I love that.
Full fisticuffs. So it's a good time. So if nothing else,
And then they got to put their shit back on when they're done. Like, it's great. I'm like, this is the best.
so
This
good.
is so much fun.
And there's rules to it. Like I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like everybody understands the rules, right? Like don't play. You can't hit somebody over the head with your stick.
Right,
Like, you
you're
know
not
what I
trying to
mean?
stomp
Like
people out with your blades.
yeah, like
it's crazy. Don't be
there's a
crazy.
line to it. So it's almost like It's almost like if it was boxing or like UFC or something like that, where there's rules, like there's some regulations around it. So as long as you guys stay within that little wheelhouse, get your little aggression off.
Do they have a timer, like how much time they can fight? So once they go to the ground,
yes, then
it's automatically over.
Oh, so your goal is to like pin the person,
or keep it up. You know what I mean? And just go until however long you want to go.
That's even more awesome,
right? That's pretty dope. And then they both go to penalty. And then they both go to the penalty box.
And then depending on like severavity of things will determine like whether or not, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, how many minutes they're in there and all that.
Do you think that you could be with a guy without teeth?
Because let me tell you, they will run around with like no tooth and stuff like that. Okay, yes and no.
Really? Okay.
No in like regular life if you work at UPS.
Okay.
Yes, if you are a hockey player making millions of dollars.
First of all, you know how like on a Sunday or whatever day, like you just walk around the house, you're just chilling. Like let my husband take out his teeth. I'll be like, Sir, if you don't put that damn retainer back in, you got this entire thing messed up.
The question becomes, do the teams? We're gonna listen. We're gonna have these answers for you guys on the next episode.
We're gonna figure this out.
Do the teams have a dentist on payroll, or is it a personal?
I feel like you have to, because you're not like searching for teeth. You know what I'm saying? After you like fight somebody, you're not like
it. Like they don't fix it fast.
That's fair. I think they enjoy it. It's like a badge of honor, which is wild.
I think if you're a wife, you just a girlfriend, whatever, you know
that's what you're getting into.
He may or may not come home with teeth.
Is that a fetish? Is that a thing? Are you like,
well, that's
I know I don't like men with teeth, so I'm focused on hockey. Like, what?
Could you imagine?
Could you be like,
and are you disappointed if your man ain't the man who
Yeah, because then that means that your man ain't tough.
Like, so you a punk, huh?
Right, so you just not gonna lose no teeth? You just gonna keep all your teeth, huh? That's a thing.
Oh gosh,
that is wild. That's crazy.
Now I have a new goal. When watching hockey. I need to know who's losing teeth. I need to know what they do with it. Now I got to go to their Instagram pages and stalk them.
Also, like you could slip on that, right? Like, can't you? Isn't that kind of that's a thing?
With the
right, a tooth? Like, can you not?
I think they're okay.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Of all the things.
To slip on.
I think
hockey's hard for me because I can never follow the puck.
The puck? Oh, okay.
I'm always like, what? They scored! And the whole time I'm looking this way, and I'm like, well, shit, I don't know. That little thing is like this big. That's crazy.
It gets very intense fast. Like it is it's kind of similar to like kind of baseball in the sense of like. There's a lot of just kind of skating around, moving the puck and all the kind of things. And they are more entertaining because, again, fights and, you know, people are hitting each other and you hit a big dump when they hit them against the walls and all that stuff. But it's still very much one of those like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because now they scored. And then they're done scoring and you kind of celebrate that and they throw their stuff on the court, on the, you know, ice and all that stuff. And then we go back and we're like, okay.
Right. And we're back.
And so now they're just kind of skating around again.
I give it up for the goalies.
Yeah, goalies are hardcore.
How fucking talented are they? All of a sudden they like, okay, I can't follow the puck. And then all of a sudden they're like,
and it's like, coming at you at like 1,000,000 miles an hour and you're having to like catch that
plus
bug.
You got like, it's coming at you. Then you got all these fucking people, these toothless people coming at you. And then you're like with sticks, with gloves, doing this. Like, and then all of a sudden they catch that thing.
It's not going anywhere. The toothless thing is not going
toothless part.
Every time we talk hockey, she's going to.
I'm going to talk about it. And I'm a Canucks fan. Take a moment.
Did you hear the pause?
Everybody.
The entire room paused.
You could just hear the air
And why are you a Canucks fan,
because I like
Gloria?
the name. I think it's adorable. Just say that. Just say Canucks with me. Say Canucks.
I lived in Vancouver for a while, Canucks.
Thank you. See how much fun that was to say?
Nothing pissed me off more than living in Vancouver. We filmed the Romeo show when I was on Nickelodeon. We filmed it in Vancouver. And nothing pissed me off more than the fact that their playoffs coincide with NBA playoffs, which meant that when I went to the sports bar, because
everyone was a Canucks TV. Boom, boom, boom.
Or any hockey, period. Canada is way more hockey than they are NBA, especially with them no longer having a team, NBA team in Vancouver. They moved them quite some time. And by that time, when I was living there, the team was already gone. So they only had the Toronto Raptors. And so they, you know, have an affinity for them, but they, in general, like, they're going to hockey before they're going to basketball.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go in there and be like, hi, can I get this screen, please? Right. Just give me one screen and turn the computer.
They're like, you get a computer.
Exactly. They were like, okay, girl, like, you got this one little section over here and everyone else is watching hockey. Like, it killed me. But it was during while my Kings were in our
era.
in our
Yeah.
era, in our
No, I'm a-
dynasty era or what.
I like going to the Kings games though.
Yeah, they're big fun. And then we had Alex Ovechkin just recently scored the most goals in less games than Wayne Gretzky. And
Okay,
so like
Gretzky, I know.
yeah, right? We all know
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky. I mean, even Ovi, like J. Cole had a song and he like rapped his name in it. So I was like, oh, okay. He's
Right,
popular.
yeah.
Oh, Ovechkin, I ain't mad at you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
He's in Washington. And so that was a really, really cool moment.
Yeah.
Like it sucked though because Gretzky like showed up because they thought he was going to do it like at a home game.
Yeah,
And then
he
I don't
showed
think
up
he
later.
did it in that game. No, I don't think he did it in that game.
Yeah.
And then like he did it like the next game and it was like, oh, but like still,
Right,
yeah.
Well, that's cute. Look at him. He showed up for
You
you and
did
shit. All
it.
late. That's cute.
So, ultimately we know that much. And
I got
we're going to
for
be,
ya.
she is going to be following her assignment and reporting will be following the Vancouver Canucks.
That's right.
And I'm going to be following
I'm
the
gonna
Kings.
I'm gonna learn names and everything.
we are going to come back and we are going to blow your socks off with what we've learned about the
hockey.
NHL. Yes, because
Yes.
the sportsing is going to sports, okay, around this part.
All sports. That's
Exactly.
classic.
And then, of course, if you're an NFL fan,
Oh, the draft is coming up.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm an NFL fan.
who is your team?
Yes. I'm a Raiders fan. Like by and large, bleed silver and black.
Mm.
And like when they were in Oakland, we're not going to talk about why they moved, but there used to be something called the black hole.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Kind of similar. And that was like, they're nuts.
Mhm.
Raiders fans are crazy.
Yeah, you don't
And
go
I
to Raider games.
Really enjoy them.
Yeah, when they played here, you did not go to
No,
Raiders and Rams
they used
games.
to freeze like batteries and throw them at players.
Hello? My dad made the mistake of taking me one good time, and we
So
sat
great.
up in the rafters. Baby,
Well,
he was
yeah,
like,
no.
not a my
Yeah,
child, not around
like
my
no,
house.
and they
Like,
give
this
zero
is
shits.
crazy.
They'll
Yeah,
they'll
like,
throw beer on a child.
not
Okay,
happening. I remember when they were building Allegiant in Vegas, where they play at now. There was rumors that they were putting a jail cell in the stadium. I don't know if they actually did or not.
Honestly, I
but
wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, and I was like, that would make sense. They have different rules. Like my friends are bartenders at SoFi and stuff like that, and like their games, they stopped serving alcohol earlier than any
During the
other
Raider
game.
games?
Mhm. Like it's a real,
Come on, Raider fans!
it's a
Like,
real
what are we
thing.
doing?
Yeah,
But also, you're awesome.
I am a 49er fan. Gang.
Lord have
Niner
mercy.
ganger don't bang. They are the only non.
Bam, bam, bam. She over here, John Miranda.
Yeah,
Bam, bam, bam,
no.
bam.
Well, it's funny because like I think it's actually really funny that being from California because everything is gang culture related. Like
Yeah,
when you really
that's
think
fair.
about it, because
Yeah,
like as
yeah.
Clipper fans, we say clip set or we say clip gang or don't bang. Like Niner bang, don't gang. Like everything's always like some sort of like gang
And
affiliated.
then we blame John Miranda.
Right,
We're
exactly.
"Oh,
Like,
right.
but Memphis.
Right? The crazies. Oh, that's
The
right.
NFL
So
draft is
coming up,
happening.
Yes.
The Tennessee Titans has the number one pick. Like this?
Yeah.
Yes. The Tennessee Titans are the number one. Have the number one pick. I have a
Yes.
bunch of Titan fan friends.
So you get number one pick because the team
suck.
suck.
They sucked.
They did.
They sucked more than everybody else.
Yeah.
And
So then
so
it goes like so.
you
that
suck
way
more
you
than
get to-
everybody else.
then you get
and
the top picks.
Yeah, you get the top picks. And so the Titans sucked. They're hoping to get a quarterback. Well, my Titan fan friends are hoping to get a quarterback.
Okay.
They're hoping to get Cam Ward from Miami, who's as of right now projected to go number one to them.
Okay.
They feel like having him as a quarterback will help.
What's the
They're still gonna
they do
suck,
before
but-
the draft?
The who?
The whole
The
thing.
mock draft?
Yes.
Yes, he's
Mock
going number
draft.
one in the mock draft as
Okay.
of now.
Thank you.
So they have number one. The Cleveland Browns have number two.
God, when have they been good? Like forever in the last
they had,
like decade?
They had some times.
They did,
where
like,
they
but like in the
were-
80s, like I feel like Cleveland is always at the bottom.
It's brutal because like their fans are like hardcore.
oh, they are.
like
They're like Raiders fans.
they're a
like,
great sports town,
Like,
so
look
it's
at
like
you
you
guys.
kind of want them to
I know,
do
I feel bad for them.
better.
That's why I keep asking, like, come on, guys.
But they still just
right?
suck.
Can't I know?
Yeah, so they're not good. So they're at the two. And Travis Hunter, from who played in Colorado, he's right now projected to go two. So he would go to
Okay.
him. But the interesting part about him is that he played both cornerback and wide receiver,
Oh, he's a
and
dual
he
position
wants to
guy.
be able to play both in the NFL.
But most teams won't let him do
Correct. And so he is right now threatening to like sit out if they don't let him play. And everybody's like,
that. I don't know if it's that serious.
if you don't just pick a
pick a
lane
team,
and
yeah,
call it
and
a
keep
day.
it
Like
moving.
there's probably a good reason for it. Like all the things,
That's really risky. I don't know that you would risk, you're kind of basically your career.
Kind of,
And
yeah.
then you're starting off being difficult, and like now all of a sudden you've set your precedence for, the type of player you are. And
Yep.
I don't know, don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really tricky position
Yeah,
to take.
that's stupid.
And
That's
I don't
not
know
tricky,
if
that's
he's
stupid.
backed off it since then, but I know that kind of recently he was very much like, this is what
If I don't, then I'm not.
Yeah, so we'll see
All
how
right,
that
girl.
plays out. But I
Yeah.
mean, I guess as of now, the thought is that he likely is going to go, within top 2, top 3, with Cleveland likely being a destination for him.
Okay.
They could use him on either side at
At this point,
So,
you can use everything.
where they
exactly.
feel like his strength lies
Yeah.
will be for them to collaborate on. But that's where they are. And then the third pick is the New York Giants,
Okay.
who Russell Wilson just signed to.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So he's going to play, and he
Well, that's
said he
interesting.
plans on being QB1. So he is like, I'm playing.
I mean, would they have traded him to be anything less?
I mean, I guess not, but I guess, as he started,
He's going to the pasture like everybody else. He's in his 30s.
Kind of one of those
Old
things.
little fella.
He did decent enough last year with Pittsburgh, but
Yeah, decent. Nice.
because he's still Russ and he's still serviceable, but it does become, and we'll have to look this up, but I believe I read something that like he's the first Black quarterback for the New York Giants, starting
No
quarterback,
way. Honest, what?
which would be wild in the year of our Lord 2025 if he's the first one for New
Wow.
York of all places. Yeah, exactly.
As diverse
So
as they
that's
are.
really interesting. Like it still blows my mind every time there's first this far down, in our history.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. So anyways,
Wow.
so
I'll
they're
have
the
to
number
look that up.
3 pick, which
Okay.
will be interesting because Shedeur Sanders is projected to
Deion
be
Sanders' son.
Yeah, and he's a quarterback. So I'm assuming the idea is that he'd come in and Russ would be a mentor and he'd be the backup to
that'd
Russ.
be great.
And kind of
I'm sure Deion would love that too.
and Russ is, by all accounts, I don't know him
Yeah, I don't
personally
know
or anything like
personally.
that, but he presents as a pretty phenomenal guy, and I think he relishes in the idea of being like a mentor type or whatever. So I think he'd really
take down
thrive in
that role. Yeah, take that role on. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have who? The New England Patriots.
Yeah, the Pats will be next, and then the
Pats.
Jacksonville Jaguars will round out the top 5 in picks. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and go from there. It should be an interesting draft.
I like it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think kind of talking about, because as she mentioned, Deion is Shadeur's dad. Deion Sanders, if you don't know who Deion Sanders is, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Very, very big deal. One of the best in the business when he played, and just an over-the-top personality. He coaches at Colorado. And so he coached both Travis and Shedeur. And it was some talk that he might leave. Like a lot of people thought that Deion was going to go
After the boys got drafted.
Yeah, because the Cowboys were like kind of like, hey, bro,
that's right. As a
are you
coach.
interested?
Yeah,
To come over. He ultimately shut it down finally by going ahead and signing his deal to stay with Colorado and all of that.
I do think he was entertaining it though.
I mean, he
Like-
at least picked up the phone for Jerry for sure.
For real.
Like,
He had a few conversations.
yeah, like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like,
definitely considered
How
it.
many zeros? were
Yeah,
behind
exactly.
that?
He definitely considered
Ooh.
it, but ultimately, I can respect the fact that he feels like he's building something good in Colorado,
But I also don't think that he felt like he was going to be able to be who he is as a Dallas, Cowboys head coach. Because Deion's very flashy. He's very loud. He's very, he's very characteristic. Like he's got a lot of quirks and stuff like that. But I don't like the Cowboys are too conservative for all of that.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think that, and it is, there are certain teams that you are either setting yourself up for potential great success or setting yourself up for failure. And I feel like the Cowboys are one of those that he would be setting himself up for failure, because if he doesn't go there and they don't perform,
then he's
then
like,
it's
I'm out
really
anyway.
an extra thing on top of him, because he is so over the top and all the things, and it's already the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they have a roster that is going to.
Right. You do need the supporting cast.
Yeah,
Right?
So I think it was probably, he can afford to lose in the college,
Right.
Than he
can
way
in
more than he
Cowboys,
could
for sure.
on that level.
Yeah.
So I think, but kind of speaking to the college thing, I would love to talk a little bit about the transfer portal.
Oh God.
And kind of how that works, because I kind of have an understanding for it, but not fully. Kind of like, I know that there's a window for it, obviously, where the kids can decide they want to switch schools and all that type of stuff. But is there kind of if there's a way to kind of easily explain what it is and how it works.
Yeah. So the transfer portal has become a significant, become a significant impact in sports in general, especially both in college.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches have come out and started saying that it's starting to affect a lot of scholarships, NIL deals, etc. And especially incoming freshmen, because they're not necessarily looking for incoming freshmen as much as they were your more like seasoned, collegiate athlete. And so it's been tough. I mean, most kids now, because of NIL deals, are just basically like chasing the bag. So they enter into the portal to basically go to another school who's offering them more money. So they'll spend a time, freshman year, rookie year at one school, they'll enter the portal, go to another school, get another bag, and so they're doing this 3 or 4 times.
Got it.
And what's shitty is that, it's, again, if you're a freshman in high school, the reality of you being able to like come in and take over and have a leading role on any team is really tough, because now the pool is bigger.
Sure.
Like, I mean, it is wildly bigger. And then you're not necessarily recruiting or giving out scholarships because you don't know who's going to enter the portal.
And essentially, most of the time, the high school athletes are making their commitment before the transfer portal is coming out.
Yes, okay. Right. So you end up, you have to be really, really good these days to receive your scholarship at this point in time.
Got it.
And most colleges aren't even, because they understand the portal, they're not necessarily even committing to, kids for long term.
Right.
Because they understand, like, okay, if you're not playing well, who's Scottie Pippen Jr.'s, not junior, Scottie Pippen's, like, because he's got 2 kids, the second one.
Okay.
He was at Michigan. Okay. Entered the portal, and they did relatively well, and people were really surprised by that.
Sure.
But again, you talk money, you talk opportunity, you talk about, and kids aren't even necessarily transferring to schools that are doing well. Mm-hmm. They're transferring to schools that, end up having more money, because a lot of times, those schools will have more money to offer because they know that, that's the biggest perk to get them there. So it's it's an interesting perspective.
So if you're a parent with with a kid who is college D1 or D2 material, in your perspective, they're getting courted on some level, do you maybe consider targeting or looking more towards mid-majors instead of, like, obviously if they're an elite athlete, then they may have more of a pick of the litter. Yeah. But even then, are you still considering mid-majors as opposed to the majors? Yeah. You know what I mean? To kind of combat that a little bit?
For sure. I think what a lot of kids are misrepresenting is that, look, you don't always have to go UConn, Duke, Kansas. You don't have to go the big, like, blue blood schools or the big, UCLAs, et cetera. Like CSUN, Northridge is a D1 school. You know what I mean? Like, you have, UC Irvine is a D1 school. Like, so it doesn't have to be this, like, huge. I mean, if you look at even, Steph Curry's career, Chris Paul's career, like it wasn't this huge platform or college that got to them to the
powerhouses.
NBA. Yeah, the powerhouses. I mean, you even have BJ. Don't get me to butchering his last name, but he was right behind Cooper Flagg. He's going to be coming in next year. He went to BYU. Yeah. And he got one of the biggest NIL deals, which is like basically about $5 million. But people were like, why BYU? Sure. Like, that's crazy. And the reality is because again, talking about supporting cast, like, the coach has coached on an NBA level. He's brought in a lot of the program to help develop this kid for the next level. And so although BYU isn't necessarily, again, it's not a Duke, but he's going to get what he needs. And I think that's what parents, as a parent, because our kids are equally, like, being recruited by colleges. And for me, it's not about them going to their hopes and dreams, right? They are like, we want to go to a blue blood school, which is again, which is your UConns, your Dukes, your UCLAs, your Kansases, and your North Carolinas, et cetera. But we're also like, but you
maybe not.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Sure.
The San Diego State did really well. Yeah. Absolutely. So just those type of situations, like, and sometimes the like bigger, brighter platforms and stages at this point in time, because they have so much more development, isn't necessarily the best option for them either.
When it comes to your boys, how much of, I mean, obviously I know that they have autonomy and they have a say in kind of their careers and stuff like that, but how much of, like, if they're like, we just want to go here, but you guys feel like there's a different opportunity that might be better for them in the long run, like how have you guys had that conversation around how that will work?
Yeah, no, we have. And for me, like, because the key term there is long run, like the reality is it's kind of on a year-to-year basis now because of the portal.
Okay.
So this whole, like, going somewhere and being like, this is where they're going to be for 4 years, that doesn't exist anymore.
Sure.
And for them, yes, they have complete autonomy of where they want to go. My only suggestion to them is tour every school possible, though.
Okay.
Because you just never know. Our nephew, Dwayne Washington Jr., he went to Sierra Canyon. What I would say for the boys is they have a complete autonomy of where they want to go. But what I've suggested is they tour all the schools. Yeah. Because what ends up happening, in my opinion, is you just kind of get a different feel for what speaks to you. One of our nephews who played in the league, and he was like, I want to go to UCLA. But when he toured it, he was like, He was like, oh. And so he ended up going to Ohio State. Yeah. And that's a huge, girl, everyone lives and breathes, they know their players, you become kind of this little, local city. Hero. Yes. Yeah. And he ended up falling in love with that feeling. And so he ended up going there. So that's my only thing for the boys is, just try everything in every part of the country. You just never know. But wherever they choose to go is totally up to them.
That's what it's going to be. No, that's understandable. My nephew, when he was deciding where he was going to go, he ended up going to college D2 in Washington State for a little while, and then it just wasn't a good situation for him, and so he went to JC here, which actually kind of helped compel him back forward, and is now at another D2. He's in Alaska Fairbanks. When he was deciding to go to Alaska, as you can imagine, we all were like,
excuse me, what?
Alaska? Because he had went and toured another university that was a noted one, all that type of stuff, and he could have probably had an opportunity there, but similar to what you're talking about, he went to Alaska, met with that coach, saw the campus, understood what it was, and was like, this is for me. I can flourish. I can be my best version of myself here or whatever. And he had a really good season last year, and environment matters. So I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Do you feel like, obviously, the transfer portal theory kind of way of life now has started way earlier in high school with their AAU teams, everybody moving and all that type of stuff. How much do you feel like it is really, and this isn't even just in basketball, this is in pretty much happening in all sports. Maybe baseball might be the exception because I feel like that their league's a little bit more
they're a little
straightforward. But in the other three majors, it's definitely happening. Do you feel like this is good or bad for the game?
So NIL, name, image, likeness, right? Is that's what that means. So I think it's essentially, I think it's kind of tarnished it a little bit. I'm a huge fan for paying athletes because, of course, why not? But I do think that no one is necessarily educating kids, families, or parents on what NIL deals how to really regulate it. Right, how to regulate it, what type of money comes in, what do you do with that money? Is it, are you being taxed? Are you doing X, Y, and Z? So I do think that kids now are playing for that and not necessarily for the reality of actually being a good, athlete in person. Got it. And then I think it essentially kind of tarnishes their journey a little bit, the reality of them having to, again, enter the portal because another school may give them a bigger NIL deal. It's you kind of end up chasing that, and then does it ever become enough,
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
One thing we're going to continue to do is we are going to start introducing some drinks. It's called the Sports Bar. Get it? So cute. And our first one is actually 42. A lot of people actually get really angry when we drink this because 42 tequila, most people feel like, how dare you mix it with something? But we do. So judge all you want. We mix it with ginger ale.
We're doing tequila and ginger ale today, and the 1942 is to represent this historical time or whatnot. If you know anything about the MLB, you know that every year the entire league celebrates Jackie Robinson, who wore the number 42.
Yes.
And they're, in the climate that we're in this country in particular, in this time, there's a lot of people who want to erase history, particularly history that surrounds Black people, Black Americans. And so folks are like, well, why do we even need to do this with, Jackie Robinson and all of that? But his significance and impact to the league and what he's still impacting. Yeah, it's really important.
What he represented, he was one of the first African Americans to join the, Major League Baseball, which was huge. There's one guy right before him Fleet Mosley, or I think his name was, but in the 1880s. But ultimately, Jackie was the pinnacle of representation for African Americans in the league. So we are, in his honor. I mean, we're drinking some 42
for Jackie. Yeah,
Yes.
He played famously with the Brooklyn Dodgers back in 1947. And it essentially ended segregation in the major leagues, because before then, the black players outside of the one that you spoke of were all mostly playing in the Negro League. Yep. And they kind of sent them to their own league. And so him coming into the game, everything he had to endure, it's kind of like similar to hearing like a Bill Russell talking about playing in his day, during his time and stuff like that, and everything that they had to endure being Black Americans playing in these, what is considered a white sport, with it being America's pastime, particularly in baseball.
Super controversial.
Yeah, it was
violent,
a lot that he had to endure in order to do it. So the fact that he did it was a huge, did so successfully. Like he won. Huge. He was a big deal. Yeah. And he
was an advocate. He was, part of the community.
Yes, so his wife continued it on, and she has really carried his legacy well. I believe she recently passed away.
She did recently pass,
but she would always still show up at Dodger games. And anytime she
showed,
she was wonderful. So fly. The whole thing. I'm a huge Dodger fan. Dodger's my team.
Yep. A's. I know. It's
yikes.
Oof, I'm not even talking about it. It's really unfortunate. But they have really cute colors.
Oh boy. Anywho, and so anytime she would show up, it was really exciting to see her. And now we're seeing his legacy still live on. I know Mookie Betts, who plays for
love Mookie,
the Los Angeles Dodgers. We love Mookie. And shout out to his parents. They named him Marcus Lynn Betts so that his initials would be MLB. That is some manifestation there.
I didn't know that.
His mother is actually the one who got him going, and he is a freak athlete. Mom. Mookie can bowl. He probably bowls as good as he
actually owns a bowling team.
Yeah, he is like awesome. Incredible. But I'm wearing a shirt that he did. It says we need more Black people in the stadium, and because he started a campaign to try to expand the game so that the reach is in Black and brown communities. Mm-hmm. Youth sports is expensive, especially now, period, but it's always been expensive and not ever really brought into our communities that much, with baseball specific, because it was a sport that just was not marketed to us.
Yeah.
And it requires a little bit more in terms of buying equipment and all that. And it just was never something. It's just easier for us to pick up a basketball and shoot. You know what I mean?
Funny enough, baseball is actually one of my my own first sports memories.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we get into that,
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and I think in other cultures and other countries and all that type of stuff, like baseball, obviously, especially in South America and all that. Latin community. But in Black American, like, it just has never been prominent. So Mookie has been champion, and I know a couple of other Black American baseball players have been really championed to try to grow the sport, put baseball, fields in our inner city communities and all of that, and kind of get more people both there on the field and in the stands. So it's really cool, especially since he plays for the Dodgers now, to see literally in real time Jackie Robinson's legacy live on through Mookie Betts and the others that are like him that are carrying it on. So in honor of Mookie, World Series champion. Mookie Betts, and the late great Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. I'm not going to yell at you for not doing it with your left hand.
Oh, sorry.
That's weird. Do it with your left hand.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Yay. I actually, so we actually got an opportunity to ask some of you, our audience, for some questions. And one of the questions was, what was our earliest sports memory? Yeah. And so mine is a hilarious a baseball story. So when I was little, I'm the youngest of 10. All my brothers and sisters played sports. We come in pairs. My oldest brother is my pair, and he wanted to play baseball. So of course, naturally, my parents were like, "Cool, take your little sister, right?" And so he was playing, and he sucked.
Don't do him like that.
No, Alani was so bad. So I get up there, he strikes out, and now it's my turn to hit.
Oh boy!
And girl, when I tell you, I hit the shit out of that ball.
Fuck your shit.
What? It was the best. Lonnie started crying. He was like, I hate it here. He threw the baseball bat. He was like, I can't. He was like, I'm over it. And then so he quit, which meant that I had to stop playing. But
that's hilarious.
So shout out to Lonnie. Nicely done.
Lonnie boo.
Yes, there's actually and that was picture day. So in my picture, I'm like,
heck yeah.
And my brother's like, you could tell that he was crying. He's like, it's the best.
I hate it here.
And so till this day, he hates baseball. So
That's awesome,
yes,
actually.
it was pretty classic. Okay, what's yours?
So
what's your
I growing up I played every sport, all that stuff, but I cheerleaded. And so when I would, at 4, it's a little, especially as a girl, it's harder to get into sports, but I could cheerlead.
Okay.
And so I was on this group called the Red Hot Baby Dolls. And
I have so many comments. Okay, I'm leaving to myself.
Well, I'll give the photos to the guys so they can put it up or whatever. I have a photo of me in my little Red Hot Baby Doll outfit. And so
so wild.
So we would perform at halftime of Lakers and Clippers games
really?
at the Sports Center.
Okay.
At the Forum at that time. And at the Forum. I am that old.
I was
and so one time we were going to go perform, and apparently Mr. T was there.
Like the Mr. T.
Mr. T for real. Like, Pity the Fool, Mr. T was in the building.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to all of us, I apparently was terrified of this man.
Really?
For whatever reason. I think it was all the chains, all the things.
Right.
So we're about to come out, and they're like, oh, and shout out to Mr. T who's in the building. And I was like, nope. And so I refused to go out, like full blown, like, you got me messed up. I'm not going out on this like thing, whatever that. So somehow, some way, because at this point, I think it probably had to be a Clipper game, so nobody really cares, right? And so like, it's so not few people in there that somehow it got back to the public service announcer. So they go out there, they're getting set up to start their thing, whatever that. And he makes an announcement like, Mr. T has left the building. And so I was like, okay, cool.
Right.
So I run out there, go do my little dance, like do the whole thing or whatever. And after it's over, we go back in the back and he was still there, but they just said it so that I can go out or whatever with that. And at first I freaked out. But then, like, he's like, listen, little girl, like...
It's okay.
I'm not actually scary. I'm not going to hurt you and the whole thing. I got to see if I can find the picture or whatever that. But ultimately, I made it enough to even just take my picture with him or whatever. And I'll never forget it. But it was one of my first. It was that actually ended up being one of my first Clipper games.
Wow.
It was at the
Red Hot Baby Doll. So I'm gonna change your name in my phone to that.
Oh Lord, it was a time. Little 4-year-old me was a character. So another question that we got. Shout out to Brittany Brooks. She asked this question. She wanted to know, do you think that drinks like Ensure are good or okay for kids?
I mean, I think so. I think what you have to pay attention to is really just the like extra sugar.
Okay.
And all the ingredients. Like I think hydration drops, and I like literally forced the boys into hydration drops, extra bananas. They're not, at least like for us, they're not allowed to drink Gatorade and things like that. Okay. But I do ask them to drink the protein shakes,
sure,
the creatine, that kind of stuff. But I think those things are like
safe
ultimately
zone.
Safe zone. Just the included sugars, so the extra sugar you should pay attention to.
Got it.
Because that and the sodium amounts, like those become crazy. I think Gatorade has like 67% sugar.
Yeah,
which
crazy.
is wild.
Yeah. They don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question that we had was from Kevin Powell. He's one of my Clipper Nation fandom. He wanted to know, in terms of Shedeur Sanders, we talked about him earlier. There's been a lot of controversy about the criticism of him and the critique of him and all that type of stuff. And he's wondering, do we feel like it's heavy due to racism, or is it just justified, so to speak, the criticism around him?
I mean, let's speak to a little bit about the criticism, like in terms of like what.
So
like,
he
what
is he is his dad's son, and is the shortest version of it. He's very flashy. He's very.
Is he the one that had the purse? He was carrying around the Merce, and even Dion was like, "Why are you carrying around that damn Merce?" Boy? It was like a clutch.
Yeah, like he just
Adorable.
Really carries himself in a very as if I've already arrived kind of a way. And so it's a lot of like him being arrogant, him being just a little like too brash, a little too like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I would say this. I think that unfortunately, particularly when it involves Black people and people of color, race is always involved.
I was going to say, there's always a
there is no getting around that. I read recently a quote that said that white privilege does not mean that they're without problems. It's just that their skin color is not the cause of them. And I think if we look at it from that perspective, then we understand that, like, a lot of times everybody's like, why do you guys always make things about race? We don't want to. But just by us existing, we are judged on a different level. Like, I was told that I was arrogant and, all the things because I speak confidently. And I think that whether it's subconscious or consciously, there is this need to humble us all the time. And so anytime you come in and you're speaking very confidently about yourself, you're carrying yourself, with a little swagger to you in a certain way. And especially if you haven't proven yourself in their eyes, you're going to be met with that kind of like harsher criticism, particularly in a league that hasn't exactly had the best track record when it comes to like dealing with race relations, like, you know, see Colin Kaepernick, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think these owners who are older, who are,
yes,
you know, conservative, who are all of these things, who may blur the line between owning a team and owning the people who play for it. Yeah, I think it plays its part. Does that mean that some of the criticism around him isn't justified?
Right. And I think that's the thing. Yeah. I think there's always that. There's always a fine line of, you know, to your point, like especially conservative traditional owners, you know what I mean, having their way in which they feel like their players should be. And that goes to like, okay, you own the team, you know, not me. But I do think like we recently had Ray on, you know, and he speaks about his fashion and, you know, like his outgoing personality, etc. I do think that is a version of who, like what sports is, though. A part of this culture is your, you know, expression, is your ability to, you know, wear whatever you want to wear, speak to, you know, however you want to speak, arrive in the ways in which you want to arrive. Now, does everybody agree to that? Of course not. Is it, you know, your traditional, like, you know, you're supposed to kind of show up and be like, show up, shut up, and dribble? I think a lot of people still feel that way. They expect that, yeah. I think they do. But I don't know that. I think there's a fine line with these players, though. Like, sure, be vibrant, flashy, and all the things, but you know, like if you're still respectful, if you still have a love for the game, if you're still showing up and doing your job, then what's the problem? Yeah, which by all accounts he does. And microaggressions is a real thing. Like Tom Brady can throw a whole tantrum on the side, and he's just passionate. But if a black quarterback does the same exact thing, then he's volatile. He's a problem. He's an issue. You know what I mean? And so I think we exist in this world where that is a very real reality. And if we can't call it for what it is, then we'll never get past it. We'll never figure out, you know, like I get hypersensitive about that type of stuff because why is your description of me that I am angry or aggressive or whatever it is when I'm just passionately speking about something that I really love and care about? You know what I mean? Oh yeah, well we deal with that, you know, on a regular basis, you know, and so we're having to kind of monitor ourselves and self kind of edit a little bit. And I think when there's a player that refuses to do that and are unapologetically themselves, then it's an issue. Yeah. And so do we think it's racially, you know, motivated? Absolutely. Yeah. You know, but I think the criticism, to your point, I don't even know if the criticism is necessary in reality other than it being racially motivated, because I do think that he's talented enough to be that arrogant. Yeah, and he's still going to have to prove, like Colorado didn't win much. So at the end of the day, like that. Yeah. You know, if you're going to talk like that, you got to get to the next level and play like that. That could be very well who he is, though. You know, I mean, just a naturally, like, you know, self-confident person. And I don't know that needs to be, that needs to be, like, mitigated, you know, to fit, like, you know, news and media narrative. We don't always have to do the humbling. Let us talk our shit sometimes. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then I'll say last question that we'll take that we said, what's an off-the-field moment that made you respect an athlete even more? Like something they did off the field that you were like, oh, okay. I don't know that I have a one in particular. I think ultimately what I really enjoy seeing is when people or athletes in general, like take the time to, especially when it comes to kids, when they take the time to like, you know, take pictures or like talk to them a little bit. Like I appreciate that. So anytime I see an athlete, you know, especially when like it's a little kid, and it's so funny because it's normally always the parents who are like, "Go take a." Do you know who that is? Go take a picture. And the 5-year-old is like, the 5-year-old's like, for real, an autograph. I don't know who you are, bro. But I do love that, and I also like when I think Steph does a great job off the court too. Like he does a lot of motivational speaking. He gives a lot back to the community. Him and his wife. So I appreciate that. And I know a lot of athletes do a lot without having to necessarily show it. You know, like there's Derek and I we donate and all these things, but we're not necessarily like, you know, for show in the media and all the having to do that stuff. So I just know I appreciate you guys as athletes as a whole on any team and any collectively, you know, giving back to communities and really speaking to young kids. That's dope. 1,000%. Doing that. Absolutely. Be good people. Yes. I'd have to say, speaking to my LeBron fandom, I'd actually have to say LeBron, with the I Promise school that he created in his home
town area of Northeast Ohio. Not only do I think it's brilliant, but he did it in a way that makes a lot of sense that actually is helping the community for real.
Yeah, that's
so by not turning it into just a charter school, by keeping it a public school, it allows access to the kids actually in the area to actually go there and get it. By leveraging his partnerships with like Walmart and different places like that, he forced them to get involved. So now there's a pantry, so the kids don't have to worry about if they're going to eat that day. He created a facility for housing so that, you know, the ones who are struggling, they don't have to worry about that. The parents can go get their GED if they didn't have that, so that they can do better. Yeah, like all of that. They really thought it through on a really incredible level, and I really hope that more people since this is sports, I'll say athletes, take that blueprint and find ways to do that in their community if they can, or at least force the hands of the people they know who can do that or whatever. Because I think that if we had more of that, that would really help a lot of our underserved communities. So shout out to LeBron James and Savannah and their whole unit and his team for putting together something that I think is a really, really, we don't talk enough about it.
Yeah.
Because of how important.
Duplicate that.
Yeah, because of how important it is. So yeah.
Well, that was us.
That's us this week. It was a good time. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Boop. Yes. So we hope that you enjoyed yourself. Please be kind. It is a cruel, crazy world out there, and everybody is losing their minds. So if you have the opportunity to just be kind, to smile at someone, to pay it forward, to do anything outside of yourself, then
you never know what everyone else is going through. So quick hey, smiles. You know what I mean? Yeah. All the things.
Let's choose kindness. You know what I mean?
Be nice.
Yeah, be nice. So that's Gloria.
Till next time.
And I am Erica. Please make sure you submit your questions if you have them. The email is on the screen, or you can inbox us on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on TikTok. Hit us up, holla at us, send your questions, and we are going to be so excited to shout you out and to answer them. Also, if you are out there in this world sports scene, whether you're a sports parent or you're a fan or you're going to games, share with us so you can be featured on our social media pages. We want to sports with you. Like, I am a Clipper season ticket holder, so I'm going to be at every playoff game. You know, like all of that, I'm going to be posting so you guys can see my experience, all of that. Like, we want to share with you because the idea of this is community. So let's build a community around sportsing in the way that we all enjoy it. And of course, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell your friend to tell a friend, comment.
Yes, all the things.
The more you guys engage with us, the more we can bring to you guys. We have some more incredible guests that are going to be coming on, and we're excited to share them with you. So thank you.
So next time, guys, see ya. Bye.